thousands of Milwaukee Bucks fans took to the streets of the city this week. This is to celebrate the team's win over the Phoenix Suns in the NBA Finals. It was the team's first championship since 1971. Now, to join me to chat about this historic win for them is NBA analyst Sbu Shongwe. Sbu, it's a pleasure to have you on the show again. Let's just talk about, the season as a whole. Did you expect it to be a finals where the Phoenix Suns would be playing the Milwaukee Bucks?
Not at all, Bushy. I think none of us expected that. And if there's anybody that can say they did, I'd like to see their betting slips, because we really didn't see this coming. Milwaukee Bucks is a team that had been bounced in the playoffs in the last 2 years. They've had the best record in the NBA, well, in the Eastern Conference the past 2 years, but just never got over that hump of actually getting to the finals. And the Suns obviously hadn't been in the playoffs in over 10 years, right? So this matchup was very unexpected, considering we had teams like the LA Lakers, who won the championship last year with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, considering the fact that you've got in the Eastern Conference a juggernaut, for instance, like the Brooklyn Nets and the Philadelphia 76ers, teams that at the beginning of the season, we would have played odds in their favor. But alas, it was the Bucks who made it happen.
Talk to me about what made these two teams tick, in particular the Phoenix Suns. I mean, they were really, an outsider that went all the way into the finals, and they would be happier of the season they've had.
Yeah, I think, look, the Phoenix Suns, if you remember last year when they were in the bubble, this is a team that went 8-0, that won all of their games, but unfortunately they didn't get to make the playoffs. So they built that system from that time forward, and the difference maker really this season was the acquisition of Chris Paul, in my opinion. This is a guy who's been a leader, who's been in the playoffs many a times in the NBA, who's got the experience. They've got Devin Booker, obviously, who's their all-star, a young player who's becoming a superstar right before our very eyes. So they needed somebody like Chris Paul to kind of set the tone in that locker room, and I think he's been the biggest key. DeAndre Ayton as well has matured right in front of our eyes as well. In the supporting cast, Mikal Bridges, there's a young guy by the name of Cameron Johnson, Campaign as well. They came in and played well. So this is a team that's young. Unfortunately, obviously, they didn't win the NBA Finals, but I think this is not the last time we see them in that position.
And this is probably not the last time we'll see the Bucks as well there. Of course, the Greek, whatever you want to call him, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak. He's been phenomenal this season. I mean, also 50 in the match that won them the title.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people right now are considering it one of the greatest finals performances of all time. You looked at his work rate from game 2 onwards. Remember, this is a guy also who came in to this series with question marks, right? He had that hyperextended knee. Many of us feared that it may be a torn ACL, but luckily it was just a hyperextended knee. Needed 2 games to sit out and recover properly, and he came in 40 points in game 2, 41 points in game 3, and to top it off with the 50-piece in game 6. And after that, when they won the championship, I don't know if you saw on social media, he went to, I think, McDonald's or one of the wing places and ordered a 50 McNuggets piece just to top it all off. So he's played really well, averaging over 32 points in this series in the finals. But this is a 2-time MVP. This is a guy that was also won Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, if you saw in Game 4, that game-winning block against DeAndre Ayton, Game 5, that dunk in the final minutes of the game. So there were many monumental sort of moments within these finals that show you how great of a player this guy is. And not only that, I think his story coming into the NBA, his parents struggling, him and his brothers having to sell stuff on the street, and for that to come full circle now, and him being an NBA champ, is just a testament to not only the player, but the person as well.
I mean, this is a gentleman that, according to reports, he'd get to practice an hour and a half earlier because he wanted to be the greatest, and he certainly is going there again this season. How much of a run do you think the Bucks can sort of mount going on for the next couple of seasons?
Yeah, I think, first of all, you speak about his work ethic. I think having worked out with Kobe Bryant a few years prior definitely had a lot to do with him getting to practice an hour and a half later. But the Bucks can certainly be a team that does it again. They've got Drew Holiday, who joined them at the beginning and last season. They've got Chris Middleton, who's their closer. They've still got Giannis for the next 4 or 5 years because they signed that long-term deal, that Supermax deal. So the core pieces are there, right? The thing that's going to be telling is the bench. Can they keep guys like Bobby Portis? Can they keep guys like Brook Lopez and all these different guys that contributed to their success this season? But certainly, I mean, you come into next season, yes, you're still thinking about the Nets. We're still preoccupied with the Lakers situation. We're still looking at the Philadelphia 76ers. Can they maybe get over the hump with Ben Simmons now and all the noise that's happening? Can they trade him? Can they not? Should they not? But to answer your question, I think the Bucks can still do it. They're still a relatively young team and a very exciting team at that.
I mean, just in closing, Giannis slammed the super teams, if we could call it that, and he said, look, he'd rather work with the Bucks and work with a team like the Bucks and win a championship than go to a super team and just get it expectantly so.
Yeah, look, when he said that, it felt like a jab to me, to Kevin Durant and some of the guys that have joined up or linked up with other superstars. You saw Paul George and Kawhi Leonard with the Clippers in Los Angeles. You saw Anthony Davis and LeBron James. Now with the Nets, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and James Harden also joining forces. But none of those teams have won the championship. And the biggest difference maker, I think, has been the injuries that have happened. You saw throughout the playoffs and even throughout the season, actually. There are a lot of guys that were out, dominant guys for their team. But Giannis is right. Look, the biggest conversation also that's happening now within the sporting world, especially with basketball, is, are super teams still relevant in the NBA? And Giannis did it, some may say the right way, but he certainly did it the long way around. And I think this particular championship is going to feel better and sweeter than, for instance, Kevin Durant's championship with the Warriors, the 2 championships, maybe even LeBron James's 2 championships with Miami and Dwayne Wade with Chris Bosh as well. So to do it on your own with the team that drafted you, with a fan base that you're connected with since you started in the NBA, certainly feels sweeter.
Sbu Shongwe, thank you so much for your time this morning.